Hello, hello, dear teachers. We'll begin soon in 1 minute. Join our webinar, please. We've been waiting for you a few weeks and months. I remember our last time with Monica in Mongolia. Maybe some of you joined our training face-to-face and online training as well. It was marvelous time with you. So in response to your feedback, we decided in Pearson, to prepare another set of training sessions for you to those who are teaching with Rise and Shine. So it's going to be helping hand, we hope so, and it's going to be dedicated to practical skills. So let's begin today with the first training session. So officially, let's begin with Tingsha sound. Signed by Nu. Welcome to today's session on effective methods for teaching vocabulary and structures. My name is Jan Witek, and we will explore together practical ways to bring vocabulary and sentence structures to life in your classroom. We'll look at how to teach vocabulary effectively, integrate it with structures, and create an engaging, interactive environment that promotes retention. This is the first in a series of teacher training events, Help Your Students Rise and Shine, that will run throughout November on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so remember these days, aimed at elevating your practical teaching skills. So let's begin. The objective of today's session is to show you how to effectively teach vocabulary and structures, how to create interactive learning opportunities, which are very important, how to integrate vocabulary and structures, and how to create an engaging learning environment for pupils, for the students. So I've decided to divide the session into 6 parts, and we'll begin with introduction and importance of vocabulary. Then I will introduce the aspects of structures and how to scaffold them. Then we'll try to have a look at reinforcing vocabulary and structures. Then very important aspect of real-life context and projects. And at the end, we'll try to summarize everything with practical application, and finally wrap up and key takeaways. So let's commence, let's begin. Introduction and importance of vocabulary. Have a look at this picture. Imagine the joy on a child's face when they learn a new word. Isn't it amazing? Vocabulary is the cornerstone of language. It opens doors to self-expression and understanding. Without vocabulary, it's difficult to convey even the simplest ideas, to speak our minds. Building vocabulary helps you create more responsive learning environment as students feel empowered to share their ideas. And students, of course, having a strong vocabulary foundation, are able to express their feelings, express their thoughts effectively. What they think becomes reality. So words are very powerful. Vocabulary is the foundation of language. It goes without saying. Without sufficient vocabulary knowledge, learners cannot express even basic ideas. For example, in Unit 1, Rise and Shine, words like ball, car, and teddy bear are relatable to young learners and can make them excited to learn. Therefore, I think it's essential to introduce vocabulary within a meaningful context. For instance, in Unit 3, we cover body parts by asking students to point to arms, legs, and eyes as they say the words. This reinforces learning through association, which are very powerful for our memory, making vocabulary relevant to the world. You as teachers benefit because context-based teaching simplifies your role in connecting abstract concepts to real experiences. For students, meaningful context transform new vocabulary into tangible elements they encounter in their daily lives. So there are three key techniques for vocabulary presentation. Using flashcards, realia, real-life objects, and of course, pictures. For example, in Unit 2, we introduce family terms like mom and dad with pictures. These visual aids make vocabulary concrete and memorable. Teachers, you as teachers, if you use a variety of presentation methods, you keep lessons dynamic and cater to different learning preferences. Students, on the other hand, find it easier to remember new words when they can connect them to familiar objects or images. Learning happens best, of course, when students are actively involved. Therefore, remember about the activity book. For instance, in Unit 1 activity book, there are matching activities with toy names. Encourage students to pair up, match the words to images, and practice together. Interactive exercises help reinforce vocabulary in a fun way. Interactive practices offer you the chance to monitor students' understanding in a hands-on way. And students, of course, also feel more engaged and motivated when they practice vocabulary with a partner rather than studying in isolation. This is very important. Now introducing and scaffolding structures. Structures give life to vocabulary by enabling students to form sentences. For instance, in Unit 4, Rise and Shine, students learn to say, I like milkshake. I don't like pizza. Teaching structures in context allows students to see how words fit into everyday conversations. For you, this approach allows seamless integration of vocabulary and structure without preparation. Students, on the other hand, understand the practical application of the learning, seeing how language can be used to communicate their preferences and needs. Drills, when done well, can be both effective and enjoyable. I know you are familiar with this term, with this teaching technique. For instance, you can say toy while pointing to various toys. It's for example, it's a window, it's a ceiling, it's a floor. Engage students by making drills interactive. Turn them into a game where students take turns identifying objects. This builds both confidence and understanding. And you can create a controlled environment where students effectively reinforce key points. And for students, turning drills into games makes repetitive practice enjoyable and less boring, leading to increased retention. When there is fun, when there is entertainment, of course, retention is much better. Retention, remembering. Ask students to mime actions like I can jump and I can fly from Unit 3. Physical activity, total physical response, this whole approach not only helps with retention, remembering, but also makes learning enjoyable. Encouraging students to act out sentences makes language more meaningful and engaging. You can incorporate physical movement to help students channel their energy positively during class. Students have a lot of energy, so therefore we need to look after it carefully. And for students, movement aids in memorization, helping them remember structures by associating them with fun activities. Stories, that's another powerful technique. Stories provide a natural context for practicing structures. Use stories from Unit 1 to practice saying, this is my toy. After the story, let students retell parts of it, reinforcing both vocabulary and structure in a fun way. You can utilize stories to create immersive learning experiences that don't feel like formal lesson learning. Students find storytelling enjoyable, which makes practicing language skills less intimidating and more relatable. Reinforcing vocabulary and structures. How can we reinforce it? Games. Games make vocabulary practice, first of all, dynamic and, of course, exciting. Emotions are involved, so it's very, very helpful. Play, for instance, a vocabulary race, where students point to the correct pictures from Unit 1 when you call out words. Adding a competitive element keeps students engaged and focused. For you, games can easily break the monotony of traditional practice and allow for active monitoring of progress. Students, on the other hand, benefit from the element of play, as it motivates them to participate and learn without feeling pressured. When there is no stress, when there is this atmosphere of relaxation, definitely our brain works better. It's been proved by plenty of researchers. Role play. Role play offers a real-life way to practice language. Ask students to use phrases like, "Who is this? This is my brother," from Unit 2, while showing family photos. You can ask students to bring to the classroom photos of their families. Role swapping also provides added practice and encourages interaction. You can ask students to become teachers, and they can ask questions to other students and also to you. You will find role play an effective method to model real-life scenarios in the classroom. For students, it helps them practice the speaking skills in a natural way, building their confidence for real-world interactions. Adapt your teaching based on the student's level. That's very important for mixed ability classes. For beginners, focus on simple nouns, car, ball, toy, while advanced students can use descriptive phrases like a red car or other phrases with color, with size. Differentiation ensures that each student is challenged at the real level. That's very important. So it allows you to address the diverse needs of your classroom, maximizing participation. Students benefit by working at a pace that's appropriate for them. It's not too slow, it's not too quick, reducing frustration and fostering a growth mindset. So this ability to be able to learn, to be open to learning. Games such as Simon Says, I bet you're familiar with this famous game, are excellent for practicing phrases like "I can jump" or "clap your hands" from Unit 3, for instance. Keep these games fast-paced to maintain energy and interest. Games give you a tool to encourage spontaneous practice of language skills while keeping the class lively. That's the pace which is important of the lesson. Students thrive. Students are able to express their feelings, their emotions. They can learn language structures through active and enjoyable play. When this activity is incorporated, when students are interested, your lessons will be much smoother and much more beneficial for the students. Real-life context and projects. Whenever possible, connect vocabulary to the students' real lives. For instance, take them outside to identify animals or objects they learned about, or bring real items into the classroom. This hands-on approach enhances retention. When you speak about animals, why not showing them some animals or some other objects you speak about? You benefit, you as teachers, by creating memorable experiences that facilitate learning beyond the textbook. It's just real life you engage your students with. And students are more likely to remember vocabulary when it relates to something they can see, they can touch in the environment. Also, senses are involved. Projects. Projects allow students to explore vocabulary creatively, and creativity is one of the future skills, very important. For instance, in Unit 6, students can create an outfit project where they describe what they're wearing. This makes learning personalization, and encourages self-expression. You can assess students' creativity and vocabulary skills in a non-threatening way. And students, in turn, they feel a sense of ownership of their work. So also independent learning is activated. It makes the language learning process more meaningful and enjoyable as well. So plenty of activities are incorporated into the student's book, an activity book, but I'm also giving you some other examples you can extend your teaching. Engaging multiple senses can boost retention. Definitely it does. For instance, write words in send, or use textured flashcards, or pair spoken words with images. When possible, incorporate taste or smell, like with food words. That's a perfect example. Speaking about food, it goes without saying it should be also supported with senses. Multisensory learning appeals to various learning styles, and these methods help you cater to diverse learners with different sensory preferences. For students, using multiple senses creates strong associations which are very powerful for our memory. And of course, it makes it easier to remember. Have each students bring their favorite toy or draw it for a show and tell session, because personalization is very important for our memory. When we are engaged to speak about ourselves, our brain activates at once. So everyone likes speaking about themselves. One of the activities is show and tell. For instance, students can describe the toy using vocabulary from Unit 1, speaking about toys. This personal touch builds confidence and makes learning more relatable. You can also observe students in a relaxed setting, gaining insights into the comfort levels with speaking. Students, when they feel relaxed, activation of memory, of retention is much easier. And students, of course, benefit from talking about something familiar to them, which reduces anxiety and builds speaking skills. And now, how about some practical application? So let's have a look. Because the magic of vocabulary truly, as this expression says, magic takes place within words. What happens? Vocabulary isn't just words, it's how students share their thoughts and ideas. Without vocabulary, students, no one can tell stories, ask questions, answer these questions, or talk about their dreams. So when you have these powerful tools available, you can express yourself. What's next? The power of context. Imagine teaching about animals or food. These are not just words, they are part of a story. So use stories as much as possible. Using pictures and stories helps make the words real and easier to remember. So they are relatable to students, and the retention takes place much easier. And of course, let students guess the meanings of new words through fun stories. Have them become the words, so students can act out as a roaring lion or as a sleepy cat. When students mime, when they use gestures and they all body is applied, of course, memory is activated and they will remember the words expressions much easier and better. Structures giving words superpowers. Vocabulary is like magic, but structures are what make them work together. Words like milkshake become even better when we say, I like milkshake, I don't like pizza. It's about using words in everyday sentences so you can express yourself. To practice structures, let students become the teachers. So this is this reversal learning. Students can ask questions to each other like, do you like pancakes? Do you like pizza? It's more fun when they are in charge. So also I advise you to use this technique. And use adventure themes like I am an explorer and I can climb mountains. Turn these into role-playing games where students act out different roles. Learning becomes an exciting adventure. Of course, children, as you know, have powerful imagination. When it is applied into memory, into memorization, definitely it's fun, it's much easier for them to remember, and definitely it releases tension and anxiety. So it's important for learning process to take place. What else? Games. I've told you about games, but let's have some other ideas. For instance, treasure hunt, vocabulary treasure hunt. So you can hunt with your students around the classroom, which makes learning exciting. Each student finds an object and uses it in a sentence. They become heroes searching for new words. Another game, you can take a picture, of course, and you can apply it immediately into your classroom. Charades with words. Play charades where students pick a word from a hat and act it out while their classmates guess the word. This helps make vocabulary memorable and encourages creativity. Another game, word relay race. Divide students into teams and give them a word to use it in a sentence. Each team member adds a new sentence, building a story. This helps reinforce vocabulary in a fun and collaborative way, and collaboration is another future skill very important for students and for people generally. And one more, picture bingo. Create bingo cards with pictures representing different vocabulary words. Call out words and have students mark the correct picture. This reinforces vocabulary recognition while making it a competitive and exciting game as well. Make repetition engaging by using catchy chants. For example, say, the ball is round, it goes up and down, it goes up and down, while students bounce a ball. Pairing repetition with movement or music keeps students interested and reinforces learning. You can utilize chants to create an enjoyable atmosphere while reinforcing key language points. So remember, music, when it's applied, definitely it's the power of repetition without the ball. What's next? Take learning outside. For example, have a color hunt, where students find objects by color, or play nature bingo. These real-world activities help students connect language to their surroundings. You can increase natural curiosity to engage students in a meaningful language practice. In the classroom, for example, you can ask students, find me something red, find me something blue, find me something green. So that's a very, very useful activity as well. Culture bingo, color hunt. Set up a farmers market day, another idea. It's an activity where students pretend to be farmers. When you speak about food, there's one of the topics in Rise and Shine, you can use farmers market day. Students use phrases like, I have fresh apples, I have oranges. Role plays make vocabulary and structures practical and memorable, grounding them in real-life situations. You can easily incorporate authentic real-world communication scenarios into the lessons. Authenticity is very important, of course, in language learning. So the more authenticity, the better language learning becomes. Wrap up and key takeaways. So, my dear teachers, of course, vocabulary is key because vocabulary forms the foundation of communication. It's best taught in meaningful context. So remember, always context is very important. Using real-life objects and interactive activities. I'm laughing that teachers all the time, you need to look at certain objects as potential realia. If you are surrounded with some objects, think about your classroom. Oh, that's a perfect object I can bring to the classroom and explain to my teachers this and that vocabulary. Structures, on the other hand, make vocabulary functional, enabling students to form sentences through games, role play, and stories. They are very powerful tools. So remember to incorporate, of course, in Rise and Shine teaching materials, you have plenty of ideas. You can also use some others, like I've given to you, games, role play, and stories. Interactive activities like miming and personalized projects help students use vocabulary in real-life context. So this context, this authenticity is very important, and also it activates personalization. Lots of researches have been conducted that saying personalization is one of the most important aspects of learning. And games like vocabulary race, for instance, and repetition with movement make learning fun and enhance retention. Students are so energetic. They are keen on taking lots of games and activities where movement is involved. So when you have students who respond easily to these activities, try to incorporate them into your language classroom, language learning. And bringing students outside or using role play creates an authentic learning environment, connecting vocabulary to everyday life. It's very important to have this connection, and students then feel whatever they learn in the classroom, they can immediately apply in their everyday conversation, because they can find something on the internet, they can read something which they are interested in, of course, later on when their English becomes much more proficient. Your next steps for your classroom. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for, if you haven't done it yet, continuation with incorporating interactive methods like role play, games, and real-life activities into your lesson. As well as remember to use personalized tasks to engage students at their own level, ensuring all abilities are catered for. So this is important for mixed ability classes. And create a classroom environment where learning vocabulary and structures is both fun and meaningful. And this element of fun is very, very important. So now we'll have a short quiz time. I'll give you 5 questions. Please, I will read them for you and try to think of the right answer. I will show you answer in 5 seconds. I will count. So quiz time, get ready for some entertainment, my dear teachers. So, what is one effective technique for introducing new vocabulary to students? Is it repetition only, flashcards, real-life objects and pictures, silent reading, writing essays? You can write answers in the chat, or you can think about the answers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And of course, the right answer, flashcards, real-life objects and pictures. The next question. Why are structures important in language learning? They help students form functional sentences using vocabulary. They are used only in writing. They are less important than vocabulary. They help with grammar rules. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the answer is, of course, they help students form functional sentences using vocabulary. Question number 3. What is an example of a creative project to reinforce vocabulary and structures? Asking students to write a book, asking students to create an outfit and describe it, making students memorize a list of words, or silent group reading. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the right answer, of course, is B, asking students to create an outfit and describe it, as was one of the examples I gave to you. The next question. What kind of activities make repetition more engaging for students? Sitting quietly and repeating words, pairing repetition with movement, games or chants, listening to a long lecture, or writing definitions repeatedly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Of course, the correct answer is B, pairing repetition with movement, games, or chants. And one more. How can real-world learning help reinforce vocabulary? By taking students outside to identify objects they've learned about, by reading from a textbook only, by writing long essays on words, by ignoring real-life contexts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The correct answer, A. By taking students outside to identify objects they've learned about. So this was also an example. Take students outside and have some field trip to associate vocabulary with real objects, with animals, with plants, and so on and so forth. Perfect. I hope you've got most answers correct. Great. One more thing, my dear teachers, can you please register on our website? This is a QR code. You can take your mobile phone, you can scan this QR code. If you haven't done it yet, if you register, you will gain access to exclusive support for your classroom needs. You will get insight into the latest news, something that's going on in Pearson about our contests, about our other initiatives. Recently, we've had a contest, Teacher Awards 2024. I hope you've taken part in this contest. We've had plenty of submissions from Mongolia. So I keep my fingers crossed. Someone from Mongolia will win in this contest. You will, by registering, you will also get free resources designed for you, and you will connect to a global community of educators. So please, giving you a few seconds, scan this QR code. Don't postpone it. You can register now. Or I will also show you this QR code during the next training session. So please don't forget about it. And my dear teachers, thank you for joining this session. I hope the presented techniques will not only make learning fun, but also ensure that vocabulary and structures are retained, are memorized more effectively. Let's make language learning an exciting journey for you and for your students, because when you are engaged, when you also have fun, when you teach, I think it's much better, and you also have much better energy to work simply. So see you on Thursday this week. So during the next session, it's going to be dedicated to the idea how to teach songs with Rise and Shine. If you have any questions, please write them in a chat. So I will have a look at the chat. If you, oh, wonderful. Now I can see the chat. So you've answered all the questions perfectly. At the beginning, you also said hello, hi, wonderful. My dear teachers from Mongolia, it's been a pleasure having this time with you. See you next Thursday. I hope you will join it, because during the whole training sessions, during November, we will cover all the ideas which will be helpful for you when you teach with Rise and Shine, and not only. So see you next Thursday this week, in 2 days' time. Have a nice afternoon. Bye, Revsa. Thank you very much. Bye.